An ira agus fáilte riven billa an play an billa seo an ocht mullen iad siúd a lugé os our gore. Cahirlach, I just want to begin by welcoming the Minister and indeed acknowledging those who have tabled this legislation before us tonight. I think what tonight shows us is how effective it is when we do, as a Seanad, adhere to proper, timely parliamentary processes and give legislation and members the space to debate and help shape and inform this and other kinds of legislation coming through this House. Because what I always find about the Seanad is that when we harness the collective talent and the ability and the purpose of members in this instance, then we can do great work. But we have to have the ability to acknowledge where maybe there has been weaknesses in terms of it, and also the space to allow us collectively as members to try and help better amend that legislation as it moves forward. Unfortunately, as has been well articulated, some of it very acutely by colleagues here tonight, Ireland's no stranger to hate crimes. Hate crime is often motivated by power, institutional and personal. It taps into prejudice, inherited and learnt. It can be obvious and crude, ignorant and uneducated. It can be invisible and subtle, sophisticated and educated. And I think Senator Ward raised an important point around the issue of uninformed and how that could potentially cause problems going forward with this legislation. And as colleagues have acknowledged already, Cahirlach, hate crime legislation is long overdue in this state, Minister, and I have no doubt you'll concede that in terms of your own remarks. And there has been, as some members have articulated already, concerns, and indeed the proposer, Senator O'Loughlin, has acknowledged in her remarks that there are some concerns around wording and the precision of the contents of this bill. Some of those, for example, relate to the conflation between homophobia and transphobia, for example. There's also concerns amongst some, I acknowledge, in the trans community about what they see as some of the outdated language that could maybe be tweaked there as well, Senator O'Loughlin. And as Senator Norris, as always, very eloquently articulated, there are concerns around the inclusion of the word perceived within the bill that Senator Ward and indeed I think Senator Batsik raised those concerns too. I share in those concerns, Senator O'Loughlin, and I hope you'll reflect and take those on board as we move ahead. And I think legislation such as this can and must be stronger. It has to be informed and helped shaped by those most impacted. And that we have had so many people contact us over the last short while shows just how important and how crucial it is that when we're bringing legislation, not least legislation as important and sensitive as this, that we engage as broadly and as extensively as possible. So it's my view in acknowledging the passage of this bill tonight, but it's my view, and I think it has to be said, that this bill and such legislation would have been much better and much stronger and potentially much more effective, I say with all due respect, had it have been coming as a government bill here tonight from the department, from the Minister, informed by the consultation referenced by Senator Batsik in her remarks that they have undertaken. I mean, there has to have been a purpose to that consultation, and I hope strong, robust, precise and effective legislation will ultimately be the purpose, informed by that important consultation on the existing Act, because a lot of the relevant stakeholders, a lot of the groups who have been in contact with us have contributed to that consultation in the hope and in the understanding that this would be the trajectory that government would follow as laid out in the programme for government in bringing the kind of legislation that they want to see to help tackle hate crime before the Oireachtas. And that's in no way to diminish or take away from Senator O'Loughlin's intention here tonight. So I think it has been a good debate. I think it's an important debate, Minister, and as I said, it's good that we have the space here tonight to have such a debate. It's one, I think, that given the rise of hate in our society, it's one that we need to have. And while legislation is the ultimate outcome in attaining that legislation and delivering it for everyone, I think it's always a positive when we have the opportunity as members of the Oireachtas and people within political life to reassert our commitment to tackling hatred, to tackling prejudice, to tackling injustice. And I hope that whether it's this proposed legislation at second stage here tonight, or indeed whether it's legislation brought forward as committed by government, that it will be as effective and robust as it can be in tackling hate crime in our society. But we can't sit here in splendid isolation and think, Shinné, that's it, that's enough. Then the question will be, as rightly acknowledged in earlier contributions, how will the Gardaí implement this? How will they give effect to it? How will those who are committed to hatred and intolerance, how will they be effectively dealt with in a way that stops it and assists those most marginalised, those in minorities in our society, to be able to live free from prejudice, intolerance and hatred? So I thank the proposers, I thank the Minister.